Welcome back to another episode, and we are underway in the 2031 season. We left off the last episode here on May 1st, and it is still May 1st. I didn't want to move too far ahead before recording again. I did some offline things, behind the scene things, kind of like scouting and things like that, but now we will get May underway, and hopefully we can have a similar result in the month of May. We are without a couple of players, Zach Neto and Royce Lewis, so our starting shortstop and our starting third baseman. We did just lose our third baseman for 3 weeks with a fractured foot, and Royce Lewis hasn't started yet this season. We lost him in spring training, but he is due to be back to us, or available to be back in about a week. I'm thinking we're probably going to send him down on a rehab stint for about a week to let him get some live at bats. I don't know the best ratio as far as like how far or how much time they have missed, that it starts affecting their timing and things like that. So I think it's safe just to send him down for about a week, and then bring him back up whenever he has seen live pitching for a few games. But other than that, I will check in on this guy, Ethan Wheeler. Considered starting him in the majors this season. However, we wanted him to develop that changeup and that curveball. But unfortunately, it's just not to be this year. He is going to be out for 7 months due to shoulder inflammation. So likely will end his season in just 4 starts in AAA. He had a 3.47 ERA. So unfortunately will not develop this year, but maybe next year he can provide some innings for us. We might just bring him up, dependent on a few things, but definitely something to consider going forward, considering he did not pitch at all really this year. But other than that, let's check in. I guess I'll check in on these guys too. So Josh Leeson, our top pitching prospect, is day-to-day with shoulder soreness. He is on the IL. So hopefully he comes back and does fine. He's got 5 starts in AAA at a 4.15 ERA. This is his first taste of AAA. So hopefully he can remain healthy and develop that sinker. Once that sinker gets developed, I mean, he's ready to be a major leaguer. And his Sierra suggests that he should be doing a little bit better than he is to start the season. He has a 2.95 Sierra, so that suggests that he is getting a little unlucky right now. So when he comes back from the IL, hopefully he can turn that around. Also, Vicente Jasso is also on the IL, but comes back in a couple of days. Doing well in AAA, hitting 4 home runs, 284, a 111 WRC, and a 0.4 WAR. Hopefully he can remain healthy as well, and potentially come up sooner rather than later. We'll see if he can fully develop that power and maybe a little bit more contact and that gap power. I might bring him up. I might also wait on that avoid K. So we'll see. Our catchers currently are doing just fine. So that'll be dependent on how they do. Drake Baldwin has been a little banged up, but he comes back tomorrow, and we can put him back in the lineup full time. We had swapped him out with Bodine. We were alternating them, switching or hitting against lefties and righties because their profiles suggested that is the best thing to do. But when Baldwin comes back tomorrow we can slide him back in the lineup against righties and leave Bodine against lefties. Let's see. Bodine is also doing well this season. 294, 2 home runs, 3 RBIs, so a good start to his season as well. So I have no need to bring up Josso. I can allow him to develop right now, and next year he will be in the major leagues, almost a certainty, barring any crazy injuries or anything like that. But other than that, I think it is time to continue on and see what May has to offer. And before we get started with the games, just want to take a look at the schedule. And the first 6 or 7 games in the month of May are arguably our most important 7 games of the season to this point. We play 4 games against the Yankees and 3 games against the Blue Jays. Both the Yankees and Blue Jays are 2nd and 3rd respectively in the division behind us. We do play them at home, so that is good for us, but a very important 7-game stretch for us. Hopefully we can come out of that stretch above 500 and win both series. That would be ideal. And we have completed the series against the Yankees, and it went well. We took 3 out of 4, winning the first 3 games and losing the last one. So definitely a good series for us. Hopefully we can take at least 2 out of 3 from the Blue Jays and maybe even sweep them, but definitely want the 2 out of 3 to take the series. And unfortunately, we did not take the series against Toronto. We lost 2 of 3. We won the first game, but then lost the last 2. So overall, a 4-3 homestand, so not bad. Definitely wanted to win that series, but at the end of the day, 4-3 on the homestand and in the month of May, and now we go on the road to Seattle and then back home against Oakland and Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Side note, Royce Lewis, I believe, is ready to come back. He is. We are going to send him on a rehab assignment for probably about a week just to get his feet under him, and then we will bring him back up and put him in the starting role, and hopefully continue getting this team whole. Nito is about 2 weeks away. Other than that, we have remained fairly healthy, and hopefully that continues. So let's continue the month of May. And simmed it ahead a couple of series. So we went to Seattle, swept Seattle on a 3-game series, then came back home and played a 3-game series against Oakland and got swept by Oakland. And then we played a 3-game series against the Angels and swept the Angels. So a back and forth month so far. We are slightly above 500 in the month, but now we go on the road to play the Tampa Bay Rays and the Baltimore Orioles and the Detroit Tigers. Well, we only go on the road for Tampa Bay, but then we come home against the Orioles and the Tigers. 3 straight series against our divisional rivals. Tampa Bay struggling this year. Detroit is 3rd in the division, and Baltimore is slightly below 500 at 19-21. So theoretically, we should do okay against them. Hopefully, we can continue our solid start and get things going. I do want to point out that have a slight issue with Royce Lewis. And I just got an updated scouting report. He is on a rehab assignment, and the scouting report annotates that his defense at shortstop is down to 40, or just overall, and that his defense at shortstop is now down to 45. When we signed him, it was 55. So unfortunate. I am going to finish his rehab assignment, and I'm going to force start him at second base. He doesn't really have a third base profile because of his arm, but I'm thinking he can play second base, and then I can move Nico over to shortstop, even though he's not the greatest at short, but definitely better than Royce Lewis would be. So just trying to fit this bat into the lineup, as well as his speed. Unfortunately, I don't want to play him at shortstop. Worst, I could play him at third, or maybe one of the outfield positions, but outfield is kind of taken right now. So going to try him at second while he's in his rehab assignment for the last week or so, and see if we can't get that trained up a little bit. And unfortunately, we lost 2 of 3 from the Tampa Bay Rays. On a bit of good news, we do get Zach Neto back from the IL. He was only out for a couple of weeks. I'm going to slide him back over. I do have to send someone down. Where is Juan? There he is. I forgot to tell you, I brought up Juan Baez whenever we had to send Neto over. Juan basically just played a backup role, very, very minimum amount of at-bats from him, so just to fill the roster. But we got Zach Neto back, so now we have to put him back in the lineup, and then figure out what we're going to do with Royce Lewis. And we are through the month of May, and another solid month for us. We went 16-12. We did wind up losing 2 of 3 to Baltimore as well, but then we split a 4-game series with Detroit and won the first 2 games against Pittsburgh. We have 1 more game against them here on June 1st, and then we play 3 games against Philly. So looking for the sweep against Pittsburgh. But nonetheless, a solid month again. 2 months in a row, we are above 500. Also, to my surprise, we have, through the month of May, the best record in baseball at 31-19. Several teams are at 30-20, but there's only one team at 31-19, and that is the Mobile Bay Bears. So very stoked to be where we are currently. Hopefully we can maintain this momentum. We're only 5-5 in our last 10 games, so hopefully we can pick that up a little bit and keep that at like 7-3-ish as we go through the season, and maintain our position in the leaderboard. Also, you can see on the left-hand side the AL stat leaders. Mason Davis has 15 home runs, so he's currently sitting 3rd in the league. Luis Garcia is leading the league in stolen bases. Mason is leading the league in batter WAR at 3.0, and Greg Ricks and Darnell Sannon both have 6 wins for us as pitchers. So definitely a solid start to our 2031 season, and hopefully we can get June going and get completed with a very similar record that we had in April and May, and continue our progress as we build this team. We definitely have started out and exceeded my expectations. I was thinking a 500 club. Right now they're showing that we're above a 500 club. But it's still early, you know, and I'm going to keep my expectations in check. Pythagorean expectation has us at 30 and 20, so we're right on the mark right there at that. We have a 8 and 9 record against lefties, so this suggests that we're just not as good against lefties, and we're 23 and 10 against righties. Over here in the hitting category, we are definitely making huge progress. We are now 8th in the AL in home runs, which is huge. We are 5th in the AL in runs scored and 7th in hits, and then we are 11th in extra base hits. So those are huge categories for us that we struggled last year. Definitely have made strides there. And then over here in pitching, we're doing fantastic. Our BABIP is a little concerning, and so is our home runs allowed. I think we expected the home runs allowed. We're 15th in the league, but our BABIP is 14th in the league, so it suggests that they're hitting the ball, but our defense is picking up our pitchers, and maybe we're getting some timely outs and things like that. But our defense is good zone rating wise. Our efficiency is about average. But nonetheless, much improved team. Hopefully this is going to continue throughout the month of June. And one thing I think I forgot to mention, if I did, I'm sorry, but Royce Lewis, we did go ahead and put him at second base. Very, very small sample size, hitting wise, but he's hitting 385 in the first 3 games that he's played, and has done well at second base in those 3 games, so hopefully that continues. Also, we lost Jared Kelenic pretty much for the season. Fractured his elbow, so he'll be out 5 months. He was our utility guy in the outfield. Wasn't having a great season, but he did come on strong towards the end before he broke his elbow, and he was getting better, brought his average up to 227. But unfortunately, just wasn't meant to be. Did break that elbow and is out for the next 5 months. So what we did was we slid in Royce Lewis at second, moved Nico over to short, and then Eddie Towler just became our super utility guy, and he is the backup for almost every position left on the field. So anytime someone needs a day off, he will fill in. Having a okay season for a backup, 223, 5 home runs, and 24 RBIs. Only a 58 WRC plus, but hopefully his defense in those platoon roles is what we need to keep this team afloat until the better prospects make it to the big leagues. And speaking of prospects, I want to check in and got a little development update. Our young setup guy in the bullpen, Jeff Middleton, had a very successful development update. He did get his control maxed out at 50, so that is good to see, and has really turned into a very solid profile for a pitcher, especially in the bullpen, and he's pitching extremely well at a 2.51 ERA in 11 games, 14 and a third innings, had a 262 BABIP, so not terrible. His Sierra, though, suggests that he's getting lucky, so we'll see how that continues, but right now is providing valuable innings for us in the setup role. He's got 5 holds and 1 save, so for a 4th round guy, very, very solid return on that pick so far. Moving down the list here, Josh Leeson has also started to develop, pitching decent down in AAA. 4.18 ERA, but his Sierra's 2.92, so it suggests that he's better than what is happening down there, but he did improve his movement rating to 55. So that is good. We're just looking for that stuff and that sinker to develop. And once that happens, there's a very good chance that I'll make the move to call him up and be a starter for us with whoever is struggling the most. And we'll get to that later. Another update on a couple of big-time prospects. Vicente Yasso improved his catcher rating to an 80, so he has maxed that out. He has also improved his contact to 55. So realistically, he's a major league ready player. I am tempted to pull him up. I would like to see that gap power and then maybe that power and avoid K develop a little bit more. But I'm not opposed to bringing him up whenever need be. Right now, the catchers that I have are doing well, so I think I'm going to leave it as it is so he can continue to get everyday innings down in AAA, and hopefully that it develops him quicker. And once he gets all this figured out, or there's an injury, like he's obviously next on the bucket, and then once he comes up, he may never go back down. Not with that defense. I mean, we're looking at a perennial Gold Glove with a very solid bat. So definitely could be a future big league star for Vicente. Danny Fouts is also continuing to improve, doing great in AAA, just dominating. 322, 9 home runs, 39 RBIs, and a 129 WRC plus. Just absolutely just scorching on that pace. Still just 22 years old, so looking to potentially finish out this development here, get these things a little bit higher. He can only play first base, and currently our first baseman leads the league in steals and is a very good leadoff hitter for us. No doubt Danny Fouts will take that role from him next year and or this year, depending on how things go at the trade deadline and or if there's an injury or if Garcia starts to struggle and I want to breathe some fresh air into the team. So Danny Fouts is almost completely ready. Another interesting development for this guy was an 8th round pick, but he's starting to develop a little bit and definitely higher than what we thought, and could potentially be a bullpen guy for us. Going to have a plus fastball and changeup and an average to a little bit below average splitter, so definitely not a starter. But if these things fully develop, we're looking at a potential middle of the rotation, or not middle of the rotation, but a middle relief guy that could pitch an inning or two at a time and just not get through the lineup more than once. But lefty, and very interesting to see him starting to develop, especially for an 8th round pick. So we're going to let him pitch a little bit more in AA, and then we will move him to AAA. And those are the main guys that I wanted to highlight in that development update. Things are going well in the minors and in the majors right now, so best case scenario for us. Enjoying this season. This is much nicer than the last 4 seasons, so it makes me feel better about the work that we've done. And yeah, hopefully this is the new norm, hopefully. But anyways, I've delayed the inevitable long enough. Let's get June rolling. And we have made it to mid-June, and we are 10 games into this month, and we are 5-5. We started out the month kind of rough, losing the first 3 games in the month and 2 of 3 from Philly. And then we bounced back, took 2 of 3 from Miami, then 2 of 3 from Boston. And now we have 3 games at Minnesota and then 3 games at New York. and then back home against Tampa Bay. So a huge stretch coming up with all AL East teams. Very important for us, just because we got to beat the teams in our division, and we have slipped just a little bit in the division standings. We are now 2 games back from the Toronto Blue Jays, and then a half game back, or a game and a half back from the Detroit Tigers. So definitely the 5-5 start to the month has allowed Toronto to jump ahead, as they are 8-2 along with Detroit in their last 10. So hopefully they cool off a little bit and we can climb back on top of that mountain and continue to hold down the fort up there. But as long as we continue to play the way we are, I like our chances to get a wild card spot at minimum. I do think obviously we can still get back up there and take the division. It's not even July yet, so still lots of baseball to be played. Hopefully we can play a little bit better than 500 ball the rest of June, and then go into July back atop the AL East standings. Also, Luis Garcia is still second in the league in stolen bases. Mason Davis leads the league in batter WAR at 3.4. I do see he is no longer a part of the home run leaderboard, at least the top 3. I think he has 17 or 18 home runs, so he's just barely missing that. He has 17 home runs, so just barely missing out on the leaderboard there. Also, Jorge Rivera, our free agent pickup, is having a solid season. He's at 262 with 14 home runs and 34 RBIs so far, with a 119 WRC plus. So definitely has been worth the pickup, and hopefully continues to play the way he is currently playing, and with him and Mason in the lineup, and then also Drew Gilbert, who started off pretty rough to start the season. Lately he has come on a little bit to raise that average up above the Mendoza line, and has hit a few home runs lately too, so hopefully his continued surge kind of maintains and can get back up to that 250, 260 average by the end of the season, and can get into that 20 home run range, and then maybe even 20 steals. So definitely looking for him to turn things around to give us a really solid top 5 in our lineup. Another players that are doing good is Royce Lewis. He's hitting 347 in 51 plate appearances, so a good start to his season. And Zach Nido also has 126 at-bats, but's hitting 286 with 3 home runs. Does have 3 stolen bases, a 125 WRC plus, so definitely doing well for us. Also, I would like to note that after he came back from that injury, he did get tagged with a fragile injury proneness. Hopefully nothing major comes up, and then only the injuries that come up are minor, and he can be back within a week or 2. Don't need anything major to happen at this point. We're still trying to maintain what we're doing here. So don't have a ton of depth that I would like to call up right now. I probably could replace him, but I'm trying to give those guys some time to develop, and hopefully next season will be most of our prospects debut. In an ideal world, we'll be able to do that because we will have maintained what we're doing here in the standings throughout the rest of the season, and not need their abilities. But let's continue on and see if we can't get to July. And we have finished that tough stretch against the AL East. It didn't do great, but we did survive. We got swept by the Twins, unfortunately, but then bounced back and went to New York and took 2 out of 3 in the Bronx, and then went to Tampa and took 2 out of 3 from them. So overall, a okay road trip. It was good to take those 2 series, and now it's on to St. Louis and then to the West Coast. And unfortunately, we did get another injury, and that was to our bullpen, our lefty out of the bullpen, Mr. Brandon Eisert, who has been solid for us the past 2 seasons, really good for us this year, with a 2.53 ERA, a 58 FIP minus, and a 1.1 WAR, just absolutely dealing this year. And he is going to be out for 5 weeks with a hamstring strain, so we had to put him on the IL. And the corresponding move was Alexis Loretto. You guys might remember him. We picked him up off of waivers back in April, and we weren't sure why Cleveland got rid of him. I guess because, oh no, wait, we didn't pick him up off waivers. Cleveland took him from us in the Rule 5 draft. Wow, I misread that completely. So Cleveland took him from us in the Rule 5 draft, and then in April they decided they didn't want him on their roster, so he automatically comes back to us. And he has done well in AAA. 2.45 ERA, and he's a lefty, and he's also durable and still young. Has 2+ pitches, the sinker not so much. But what I planned on doing, and what I have done, is I have made him the lefty specialist. So if you check his stats against lefties this year, he's got a .79 ERA in 11 innings pitched, and a 3.32 against righties, but a .79 against lefties. So I think that is definite evidence that we should probably try him as the lefty specialist, because Brock Selvage was our lefty specialist, and he is getting torched by lefties at a 6.10 rate, even though the Sierra suggests it's a 3.1. We are going to make him the middle reliever and allow the young kid to be the specialist. Hopefully that'll minimize his innings, and he'll be able to use those 2 pitches against lefties. And then we'll have Brock as the backup specialist as well. But those are the moves we made, and we have a couple more days until we get to July. So I'll go ahead and fast forward to that, and then we will take a look at the month. And we have made it to July 1st, and some good news. Royce Lewis was named AL Player of the Week. He hit .479 with 4 home runs and 9 RBIs. He's currently hitting .324 on the season, has 12, or .321 on the season, has 12 home runs and 26 RBIs. So definitely performing well for us, and not playing particularly great at second base. His zone rating is pretty terrible. Has 2 errors in 27 games, so I guess not terrible there. But his zone rating is definitely not where we want it to be, but that bat is going to play. It is what it is. But good to see his bat doing well. Hopefully that continues. And I would like to show you guys how we ended the month, and I will say it was a very nice ending. We ended the month by winning 7 straight games. We swept the Cardinals, and we swept the Dodgers, and then we took the first game at against Arizona before we moved into July. So we have 2 more with Arizona to start July. But we finished the month of June at 16-10. So right now in April we were 15-7, May we were 16-12, and June we were 16-10. If we can keep that up through the rest of the season, I'm going to really like where we're going to finish. Also, standing wise, we have came back and tied the Detroit Tigers for first in the division, and the Blue Jays are 3 games back, and we are starting to create separation behind that. The Yankees are 6.5 back, and then the Orioles are 10 back, Red Sox 12, Twins are 15 back, and the Rays are last and 15.5 back. So definitely starting to hopefully pull away at the top. It could be us and the Tigers and the Blue Jays kind of pulling away with this thing, but definitely made up some ground there. Garcia is still sitting second in the league in stolen bases. Mason Davis is now second in the league in batter WAR at 3.9. His average has come down just a little bit, but he's got 20 home runs now and 53 RBIs, and it's July 1st, so I do like where he is at. He needs now 14 more home runs to get to 100 career home runs, so we're definitely keeping an eye out on that milestone. Other than that, no more leaders out there on the leaderboard for the Mobile Bay Bears, but we do have 47 wins, and again at the end of June going into July, that is the most wins in the bigs, just like we started off the month in June. So hopefully that is a trend that can continue. Other than that, I did get some player development updates. I'll go through that and see if anything pops out, and I'll let you guys know. We did get the power rankings back, and for the first time ever, the Bay Bears are sitting first in power rankings, and that is pretty cool to see. I will not lie. We've done a lot of hard work, and to see it starting to pay off is a relief and rewarding for sure. Also, while we were simming ahead, Drew Gilbert did message me and wants a contract extension. His average continues to climb a little bit at 219. Does have 7 home runs now, 27 RBIs, so he's definitely trending in the right direction. But unfortunately, he wants $16 million a year for 5 years, and he's going to be 31 years old. So there's a very good chance that Drew Gilbert is playing his last few months as a Mobile Bay Bear, and we go and find a new outfielder in the offseason. But that is what it is. That's just too much money for his age and the numbers he is putting up. All-Star updates. Looks like Mason is in second place in the All-Star voting in center field, and then Connor Cook is also in the running for relievers. But other than that, not any other players on the leaderboard. But anyways, I'll take a look at this player development update, see if anything pops up. If not, we will get simming towards the draft. And for the development update, a couple of key players on here that are developing well, most notably our current left fielder, Jorge Rivera, is developing nicely and has increased his potential. So his potential power rating now is up to 70, went from 65 to 70. His current defensive rating at left field went from 55 to 60, and then he improved to a 3.5-star left fielder. So as you can see, he is a left fielder at 3.5 stars. Still has a little bit left on his power that he can catch and his gap power as well. Would love to see maybe the BABIP or the contact increase, but I'm not complaining. He's hitting 250 right now, so not the biggest average, but we kind of figured he'd hit between that like 240 to 260 mark, but give us 25 to 35 home runs, and he's on pace for all those things. 15 home runs, 40 RBIs, 249 average, so right around where we kind of figured he would be, honestly. And this added pop potential could increase things and make it a little better. And he's playing solid defense over there in left field, so definitely worth the pickup thus far. Another solid update was Alfredo Gazar. Have him in AA right now. He struggled last year in AA. This year he's doing much better. Hitting almost 260, 100 WRC plus, 8 home runs, 35 RBIs. So as you can see, his batter profile is really getting close to being playable at the major leagues. Ideally, he would finish the season in AA and or AAA and see where he's at. Without that power, though, I would like the rest of that profile to be developed out. Obviously, his defense is ridiculous, so he has no improvement really needed there. I can change his strategy and start him at third base to maybe we can max out that third base profile. I'm sure he can play some outfield. Looks like he can play a little bit of outfield too, specifically like right field maybe. So we might try him at right field as well, because he could be a potential filler for Drew Gilbert, even though he doesn't bring the power for a corner outfielder. More of like a second baseman type, but we have a couple of guys like this that we're gonna have to fit into our lineup next year. So we'll keep messing around with him and see if we can't get him in a position that suits the team. Also, Isaac Cardenas also has really good defense. If you might remember, we drafted him last year because it was a 13th pick. He was our #1 draftee. We drafted him out of college. He has increased his potential with his bat and is developing nicely in AA. He is destroying AA, so it is very possible that he is in AAA here soon. Would like that to develop a little bit more, but he is almost fully developed hitting wise, and obviously fielding wise he is fine. Other than that, nothing crazy steps out at me. A couple of lower prospects are really developing, so we'll keep an eye on them. But it is July, and now we need to make it to the first year player draft. And July did start kind of rough for us. We did get the win, but in the meantime, we did lose Connor Cook, who's been our best reliever at a 1.39 ERA in 32 1/3 innings. He herniated a disc in his back, and he'll be out 1 to 2 weeks, so we're going to have to put him on the IL and go look for a replacement. So I will go do that now and let you guys know who it is. And we have gone with a young player, Mr. Alex Loretto. We didn't have a ton. Oh, wait, sorry. I am crazy. Marco Rea. Sorry, guys. We did pick him up this year, free agent signing. Has a option left. He is arbitration eligible, so definitely probably won't be with us next year. He is fragile as well, but does have several pitches that are average, has an above average fastball and slider, and has good stamina. We're not going to use him as a starter. They've been using him as a starter in AAA for a little bit, and then he pitched a little bit with Miami in the major leagues as a starter as well, but we're going to use him as the bullpen as just a middle relief guy until we get back Connor Cook, and then we will option him back down. Hopefully he can hold serve, so to speak, until Cook gets back and healthy, and then we get our bullpen right again. And we have made it to draft day, and on the way there, Jorge Rivera is on a tear. He's had a 5-game home run streak and a 9-game run streak. He is absolutely on fire right now at 21 home runs, 49 RBIs, and a 262 average. He also has 5 stolen bases with a 118 WRC plus and a 2.0 WAR. So is definitely hot at the right time going into the All-Star break. So kudos to him, and excited for the rest of the season with him. Going into the schedule, it has been kind of back and forth, but we somehow pulled out the series win against Baltimore. It was a couple of high-scoring games, and then we won it in the 11th to win the series. We split the series, the 4-game series, with Toronto, and we did win the series against Arizona dating back to June. So we took 2 out of 3 from Arizona, then split Toronto and took 2 out of 3 from Baltimore. So we are 52 and 33, and that puts us atop the division by a game and a half. So we have reclaimed our spot, and Mason Davis has reclaimed his spot with the highest batter WAR. He is now hitting .281 with 22 home runs and 61 RBIs. Does have 9 stolen bases, so could potentially get to 20. 139 WRC plus and a 4.3 WAR. Going into the first-year player draft, also Greg Ricks has made the leaderboard for wins, has been a solid 3.31 ERA for us this year with a 9-3 record. So another solid year from him. Other than that, the leaderboards are full of players not in our organization. We are at the first-year player draft, so I think this is a good stopping point for this episode. I will say that we are drafting 7th. Unfortunate luck for us. We had the worst record in baseball last year, and had the most ping pong balls in the lottery and came out 7th. So absolute terrible luck from 1st to 7th. It looked like a pretty good draft. I haven't gone through it. I'll go through it offline, and then I'll reconvene with you guys in the next episode, and we will knock out the first-year player draft, and then kind of do like a mid-season review of all the players, and then potentially talk about some moves that I'm thinking about making, and we'll see what you guys think. But other than that, great June and start to July for us here, and we are almost at the All-Star break and have a fantastic shot at making the playoffs this year for the first time in franchise history. So can't wait to see what the rest of the season holds, and hope you guys stick around to see it as well. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next episode.